What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about mana today, Decentraland. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. You guys, let's get into it. Okay, let's talk about it. Here we are sitting at about 49 cents, just about 50 cents, finding support. Coming down. It's not the best look. This does suggest that we could go lower. However, I don't think we will, right? If we look at the indicators here, we look at the RSI, this would suggest a different thing. We're finding higher lows here. We're bouncing off of the 40 area. We had a nice little double bottom right there. And we are piercing above the 50. However, we're finding resistance on the 60. So we're finding resistance on the 60, finding support on the 40. On the daily time frame, what we need to do is get above the 60. What we need not do is get below the 40. Okay, if we get below the 40, looking at the RSI, likely we would get into the oversold zone, and that would definitely send mana probably below 40 cents. We're at 50 cents now, right? If we can get above the 60, we get into this overbought zone, that will likely trigger a breakout move that would send mana to prices that are well above $1, if not even multiple dollars. And I want to talk about that now. I want to go over both kind of cases. You know, we're looking at this here at 49 cents now, from a low here to a high there. If we were to go lower, and it wouldn't be terrible, it would just be a higher low, right? If we were to go lower, the lowest I'd give you would be about 33 cents. 33 cents to 36.6 cents, somewhere in that kind of area. That, if we were to go lower, that would be the worst case scenario. Finding support here at previous areas of resistance and in the golden ratio and at a higher low nonetheless. It's not what I would expect. At the rate that we're going, you know, that would just basically make February a dud probably, unless we had a very quick drop and then a quick recovery. I don't see that happening. It could happen. I don't see that happening. To me, it looks more like you're in this kind of bull flag formation where you move up here, you've got your flag down here, and now you're looking to break out, hopefully to the upside, not to the downside. And if you do break out to the upside, the measure move would be as follows, right? The measure move would essentially take you all the way up to about $1.37, $1.35, somewhere in that area. We're at 50 cents now. So that's a good amount of growth. We look at the high here to the low there. That takes you also up to your 1.618. It's very perfect. That's the golden ratio on the extension side right there. Now, here's where we're going to make sense out of this price being too low. Yeah, we're going to make sense out of that here in this next little part, right? That is a 172% move. That's about average for what I expect the average altcoin to do on this coming move. I'm going to explain why that's too low beyond the fact that that's the average move, and I think mana is going to outperform the average coins. We can actually look at that chart too, but let's just do this real quick, okay? I don't think that you've been consolidating since January 2023. I don't think you've been consolidating for 2 years to just hit this target here and be done with it, right? That's your measure move. Don't get me wrong, that's your measure move, and that's great. But I theorize that this next move, we take away all the fibs and the measurements and we just look at this for what it is. I would assume that a move that breaks you out of a multi-year consolidation accumulation period, it doesn't see, I would assume that it's a stronger move than the move that led into it, right? Does that make sense? In other words, I'm saying, what I'm trying to say here is, I think that a move that breaks out of this would likely be a move that is stronger than anything we've seen in here. Does that make sense? Being that this was the lowest point of this whole phase, being that this was the highest point of this whole phase, this is probably the strongest move in the shortest amount of time. That's absolutely the strongest move. And that move would take us up to about $1.30. Okay, the 1.618. By the way, from a price perspective, it would make more sense to stop here at about $1.15, and from a logical perspective, it doesn't make sense. If we stopped there, that'd be very weak for mana. I would sell and get into something else if that's all it musters by the end of February. I would definitely look somewhere else because that's not a good look. We probably don't see new all-time highs if that's all we do. But if we stop at the 1.618, it doesn't make sense. Why would we stop here? What price action is giving us the notion that we could stop here? Maybe if we go up here where we found a little bit of support, we found a little bit of resistance, we can kind of split these two lines, support, resistance. Maybe up in this 1.886, 200 area, mana actually loves its 1.886 a lot. That could make more sense. $1.62 to $1.76. And not only that, that's a stronger move as a whole, right? That would be a bigger move than this last move was. That fits my minimum expectations. And I mean that, my minimum expectations for mana, likely by the end of February, if not by the end of March, mid-March, would be something between about $1.62 to $1.76. We're at 49 cents now. that would result in a total amount of growth being something about 230% to about 250%. That's a nice range. That's a very tight range. I could see Mana stopping there. That is the minimum given targets, but I really could see it stopping there. It's not common on the minimum targets that I agree with that being an acceptable area to stop. I'm normally more bullish than that, and I am more bullish than that on Mana. You know, the next targets would be 214 to 275, and that would promote a 330% growth to a 460% growth. And that makes sense on price action as well. The 2272 to the 2618, I could really see that. Beyond all that, if we take this high to low again, we get these fibs up here. And then we take the high to low of the overall move, right? Your cycle high last cycle in November 2021 to basically your bear cycle low, which happened in the midst of Bitcoin's bull market, which that's exactly what you did last time, right? You found your low here in March 2020. Bitcoin was firmly entrenched in its bull market at that point. We were in a rather bearish moment, a bearish phase in crypto as a whole, but it was still, you know, well past the end of Bitcoin's bear market. Same thing here. High to low, we take away this fib now, and just remember, right, you've got the 2272 here and the 2618 here, okay? The 1886 right here with the golden ratio. You take it away, looking at this, just for what it is, being held down by the 382, if I did nothing else in this video and I just showed you this fib and I showed you the 382 rejection to the 236 bounce, undeniably, like my minimum target would be at least here, $1.67 to $2.13. And that makes sense. That to me, it's very uncommon in this kind of setup to just tear through your golden ratio and hit your 786 or your 886 zone. If it does happen at all in moments like this, you likely would stop at your 786. I doubt Mana breaks higher than that. So my absolute highest prediction, which I don't think we're going to see by the end of February, March, my absolute highest prediction would be at the 786 here, which is about $2.92. That's my highest prediction. I really like this $1.67 to $2.12 area. Now, if we put the fibs back on there, okay, we put the fibs back on there, you see you got your 1886 to your 2272 lining up in that area as well. So that's just some congruence, agreeing with our minimum targets, our next targets, and our maximum targets are even agreeing at the 2618 and the 786. It's beautiful. So I very much do expect we'll find resistance between 290 and $1.67, more specifically $1.67 to $2.15. That's my expectation. So if you guys like the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I really do appreciate you all for being here. I guess there's one more thing I want to look at before we move on. By the way, the weekly RSI looks killer. 3-day RSI is neutral. We just need to get above the 60. That's fine. Daily RSI, same thing, right? And we said that earlier. Monthly RSI, we don't have one? Okay, there we go. The monthly is actually looking good. A bounce here would be nice. If we can close this month green, which I think we will, 7 days, 10 hours left, if we can close this month green, I think it would look nice to get a bounce here on the monthly. But let's look at the ribbons, okay? Ribbons here. You've got a false cross. I would call this a false cross. I don't know. It depends. It's a real cross. You guys, if Mana, genuinely, if we break down from here, that would be trouble. That would not be a good look on this monthly thing at all. So let's hope that we don't break down, but also I don't expect we do. From a price action perspective, I suppose we could find a higher low and move up, but just from the ribbon, it would be crossing bearishly. We don't want that. We want to maintain. What we want to do is we want to get above the ribbon. So on the ribbons time frame, a good goal actually by the end of this month would be to close above 60 cents. We're at 49 cents now. If we can get Mana to close above 60 cents this month, that I think would be a very positive signal. Certainly something above the yellow line, which is at 49.2 cents. So as long as we're doing 49.2 cents, I guess I can't complain, but 60 cents or more would be a better look. I think that would be a much better look, okay? Looking at the weekly time frame here. Weekly got the cross, the fresh cross, and we're pulling back to it. So oftentimes with these fresh crosses, you do pull back to it before going higher. So that's actually a very common thing to do. It's a good look, and we're finding support not going below it. So hopefully we do get a bounce off of this, and I think we will. Ideally, basically all I'm saying there is we don't want to go below this. If we go below this, that would invalidate this as a cross, and it just means that we're disrespecting this. And we've been disrespecting it, so it's completely possible. If we disrespect it and it's a false cross, maybe that's not as big of a deal as it normally would be because it's disrespected, which means it doesn't really count as much, right? But finding support here, moving up would validate that we are showing respect, and that would definitely be a powerful signal. It's kind of a nice position to be in with this weekly ribbon. If we bounce here, it validates the ribbon. If we break down here, it invalidates the ribbon. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's bearish though, because all that would be is we're just disrespecting the ribbon. So while this would be a more bearish look, normally it would be less bearish because we're overall just not really caring about the ribbon, which would mean that this indicator isn't that big of a deal. But to the bullish effect, it would be a better thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but we're in a good positioning here is all I'm trying to say. The 3-day time frame, this to me would suggest that we go lower. It's not, we don't have to. There are moments where it looks like we have to go lower and then we don't, we just continue higher. It can happen. The 3-day time frame is kind of weird. And then the daily, this is what I'm talking about by disrespect, right? Just disrespecting it, not finding resistance or support on it at all. So while yes, we do have a cross here, while yes, we're looking to get the cross up and then we reject it down, that would normally be a bearish thing. I don't think it merits as much bearish stuff. I think we're just consolidating. We'll see. You know, same thing over here, right? It was the same thing over here. When you're disrespecting the ribbon, these kind of bearish effects, they don't mean as much. They don't have as much weight, right? And then we blast it off afterwards. So I think it's all good on all fronts. I got nothing else for you guys. I've given you the areas that we'd like to close above. I've given you the targets where we would go if everything goes wrong and we go lower. Mana is one of my biggest holds, and I do think about adding to it almost every single day. If it's not Mana, it's Sandbox, but I've added to Sandbox recently. I have been adding to Sandbox instead of Mana because Sandbox, I don't have any, and it's a good kind of hedge against Mana. But I will say this, I had a dream, and I woke up and Sandbox was down 58%. I'm not saying that means anything, but I listen to my dreams. I had a dream that CZ from Binance got arrested a year before he got arrested. So, and all my funds would get frozen on Binance. Within that year, there was a freezing of accounts on Binance across the board, and everything got unfrozen. Binance is still operable. It's not a big deal. And CZ went to jail, right? And I'm just saying, and I had all my funds off of Binance while everybody was freaking out about Binance being closed, CZ going to jail. Are my funds going to get back? Am I allowed to have them? I'm a United States citizen. I didn't worry about that at all because I had my money taken off. I don't know if Sandbox is going to be in trouble. I don't know if there's any negative things going to happen. I have Sandbox. I own Sandbox. I'm not selling any of it, but I'm probably going to stop adding to it because of my own superstitions. I had a dream that it dropped to 50%. And I believe in Mana more than I do in Sandbox. But I do believe in Sandbox. I think it's going to be good. But I listen to my dreams. So if you want to listen to them too, that's up to you. I'm part Native American. Maybe that has some value to it. I don't know. But hit the like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. Regardless of the dreams, I think Mana and Sandbox are good Metaverse plays. Another good one, actually, that somebody was talking about recently. I like XPR, too. This one was made in America. Look at that. Look at that, guys. 42% today. She was up 44% yesterday. Yeah. I like this one a lot. Probably tops off around here, consolidates, whatever. Maybe it continues higher. Low market cap Metaverse token, and it's made in the USA. So if Donald Trump passes that law where there's no capital gains tax on coins that are made in the USA, this could be the first and only Metaverse token that is exempt of capital gains, and it's worth about $100 million in market cap right now. That's a lot of room to grow, you guys. Anyways, that's all I got for you. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Go Mana, go. Other options are out there too. It's never bad to diversify. Take care. Bye.